Hello and welcome to the Dune Minute Podcast, your place to dive deep, minute by minute, into the cinematic adaptation of Frank Herbert's world of Dune. I'm one of your hosts, John.
And I'm Zach.
And today we are finishing talking about some sieges.
That's right. My notes here say, starts with Duncan explaining the Fremen housing situation, and it ends with an ominous fast walker.
So last minute we ended talking about how Duncan had been living in sieges, which are underground cities that are in these giant caverns that Arrakis is just full of.
Yep. Some man-made, some natural, some a combination.
Paul asks how big the place was, and Duncan says, I'd say 10,000 people, and there's hundreds of sieges.
Yeah.
There's smirks all around the room and all across the table. And Leto says, millions of Fremen, you were right, looking at Thufir. And this is a moment that the first time we see Thufir smile since
in a while,
since Paul had the attempt on his life.
Well, I mean,
so Paul had the attempt on his life. Thufir felt really shitty about that, tried to resign, and then like ever since then, like we saw, he was sitting at the table. He wasn't, smiling and laughing. He wasn't,
Yeah. Well, when was the last time we did see him smile?
When Paul arrived.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we hadn't seen Thufir since then.
That's fair.
I mean, we saw him for half a second when he's like, when he's introducing Jessica to all the ladies for the house attendant role. Then he just like fucks off. But Thufir is back in high spirits because he's smiling. He says the Harkonnen estimate was 50,000 for the whole planet.
Which they just never cared to even do any kind of looking.
No, they didn't care about the people. They just cared about the spice.
The Fremen were rats to them. Why would they go take a rat census?
So we're getting into the spoilers from yesterday's episode where Duncan says, the Fremen watched me search for them for days. I never saw them. Finally, they sent a warrior out to kill me. And I've got to tell you, I've never come so close to dying. There's no finer fighter in the Imperium. They fight like demons. And in this moment, you see Duncan look at Gurney. And you know that Gurney truly understands if Duncan is saying,
yeah,
these are bad motherfuckers. They must be, because Duncan and Gurney have both been in the Harkonnen fighting pits.
That's
and
fair.
Have seen the worst of the worst.
He meant to say they fuck like demons, right?
Maybe
that's what he wanted to say.
Maybe they do. Who knows?
Going off our did Duncan go to a spice orgy comment from yesterday.
Duncan Idaho fucks, but he doesn't kiss and tell, or maybe he does. Who knows? But yeah, so like, if they are that good at combat, I think if anyone were to truly take Duncan Idaho's word, it would be Gurney Halleck.
Well, yeah, because the Atreides are mentioned later as being, or maybe earlier, I forget, as being like the finest fighters in the Imperium, or some of the finest fighters in the Imperium. And if the Fremen are giving Duncan a run for his money on fighting, that's a good ally to have. He's there,
and it's safe to say that Duncan on skill level,
very good,
is there with Gurney.
Probably higher than Gurney. Because Duncan was originally the sword master.
True.
Gurney just filled in for him. So if Gurney was better, then he would be the main sword master.
Fair enough. But point that I was getting to is that like your standard rank and file Atreides isn't shit compared to Duncan Idaho.
Well, yeah,
so yeah. If you were talking Fremen versus, standard Atreides, it's no contest.
Yeah, for sure. So does this mean, do you think Duncan had to kill a Fremen the first time you met him?
I think so.
I think so too.
And we will come to see, unfortunately, at the end of this movie, there is no solution to a duel other than blood being drawn.
I mean, if it's one where it concerns like, is this person going to come back to the siege with us and be, kind of be accepted? Yeah. You have to kill someone.
Yeah.
So I think he shows. Does he show them a Chris knife later? When he's like showing all of his cool gadgets?
No, he doesn't show them a Chris knife. We see. So speaking of Chris knives, one of the guards comes in this moment and says that the man that Duncan brought with him, who we know is Stilgar, won't give up his knife. And Duncan explains the importance of the Chris knife to Leto. Yeah. We had seen the Chris knife earlier when Shadout was presenting hers to Jessica. But I would assume that Jessica and Leto have been too busy for them to talk about, a Chris knife and everything. So Leto probably doesn't understand the importance. Duncan is explaining it here.
He's probably not done the same kind of studying that Paul has been doing too.
No, I feel like Leto's probably got a little more on his plate than Paul.
He's got administrative duties to attend to.
But, he explains that the Chris knife is a holy object to all of the Fremen and that they should not take the Chris knife from Stilgar.
Yeah, just let him pass.
One thing that I did notice, though. So they let him in. The doors open and we see the hooded figure walk into the room. Stilgar sheaths his Chris knife.
Yep.
Which has presumably not touched blood.
Okay, so here's my theory on this one. He never took the Chris knife out of the sheath.
The Atreides took it out.
No, they took the entire sheath with it. So the knife was still sheathed. He took it out of his belt.
No, you see him sheath the knife.
I went back there and I think he's tucking the whole thing back in the sheath.
No, you see the knife go into the sheath.
All right, we'll have to watch that. I'll watch it again.
I will pull it up right now.
You could be right. I don't care.
No, I have to be. No, I went back and watched it a few times. And he's definitely putting the knife back in the sheath.
Okay.
Because you see the tan of the blade.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It would have made more sense if it was like the whole knife and sheath combo.
Yeah.
That was taken out of his belt and that's what he was putting back in. So the knife never was drawn. It was just the whole thing out. Right. That would have made more sense.
Would have.
If the movie was following you have to have blood on a Chris knife before it gets put back in thing, which they are clearly not. We saw earlier that they're not. So
with Shadout and everything.
Yeah.
I noticed it in if anyone is going to respect a Chris knife, it's going to be Stilgar.
Yeah. I think it's safe to assume that little bit of,
that amount of detail they're not going to be
the in-universe rule they're not going to kind of abide by that, which is fine. I don't think it's a cool book detail and it's a cool bit of world building lore that they have, but it's not impactful to the story in any kind of way. I'm trying to think. We get some words obviously from Duncan about the Seaches. We get some napkin math from Leto about his millions.
He's really good at multiplying by 10.
Yeah. We get to see Thufir smile again. It's been too long since we've seen that gorgeous smile of his. And then the hooded figure starts walking very quickly towards him.
Just super
dude's got some places to
power
be.
Walking. He's got shit to do.
Yeah.
And we will see more of Stilgar here in this next minute, but unfortunately our minute is over.
Well, I think we missed one line of dialogue, which I thought was kind of funny. It's after he says they fight like demons. Leto goes, desert power. Duncan, well done. Yeah. So just another mention of that, of his overall goal of just desert power. He wants the Fremen to be allied with the Fremen, in order to, bolster his army's strength for an attack, frankly, that he knows is coming.
Yeah.
He can feel it in his bones. It's coming. But
something's wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, he's a step closer in that direction. Yeah, he has confirmation now from Duncan that they're trying to search for the right folks. All right. Well, if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach out to us at via Gmail. Send us an email at duneminute@gmail.com. We are on Twitter at Dune Minute, and our Instagram, we're at the Dune Minute on Instagram. So yeah, reach out if we missed anything, and we will be back tomorrow to continue to see what this ominous hooded figure is all about.
I'm going to have a very direct and candid conversation tomorrow.
Yes, we will.
But we will see you then.
All right, see ya.